There are kids all over the world who get autism. You can just help them by dealing with it. I would like the people to encourage parents to be with their child more and to just play with them because they're with them, someone that understands them.
When Kyle was very young, early on, he was a very happy kid. He played, very easily. We started to notice things about him. He really didn't have a lot of language. He didn't have a lot to say, although he laughed a lot and seemed to be, easy to entertain.
Like when he was about 2 years old, I would push him around the neighborhood in the stroller, just like, we always, Jennifer and I would take turns, and I'd sing Nowhere Man, he's a real nowhere man. Because he would just sort of be happy to just stare off and wasn't particularly affectionate, but we didn't notice any real issue. It's just that he wasn't as emotive as the other kids were.
He really never asked for anything. He never told us he was hungry or thirsty. So I would just set some things down in front of him, and then all of a sudden he would see it and he would just eat it. And sometimes he would wolf things down so fast that you were like, wow, he was really hungry. I had no idea he was so hungry. And then, of course, I'm thinking, oh no, as a mom, I really should be more in touch with Kyle and where is he? And you sort of just had to figure it out.
That started to appear a bit more unusual as he got to be 3. It wasn't yet potty training. He now started to not hug us back when we hugged him, look away when we looked at him, and those kinds of things.
That's where we saw him move into a lot of spinning, a lot of playing in our couch.
Sometimes he would just flip this stick real quick, and you thought, well, that's what a kid would do. But then it'd be a half hour of running around, and then when you'd go to talk to him, instead of giving you eye contact and stopping to say, sure, Dad, I'll, come to dinner, it'd be like, whoop, and off he'd go.
The minute he would wake up in the morning, he would run downstairs, he would dive under the cushions, get himself all situated down in there. And I'd have to dig around and find him to pull him out for breakfast or get him dressed to take him somewhere.
When I try to play with him, he's sort of just not really, he didn't really know how. It wasn't easy to play with him. He just wouldn't break out of his little world.
It was pretty difficult. I come home from work some days, and it was clear that having 3 children at home, one who followed no normal pattern of behavior, was more than a single person was going to be able to handle very effectively. And Jennifer was, at her wit's end as to what to do. I didn't know whether to blame myself or blame her or throw my hands up.
I felt sort of bad for Kyle in a way because I had so many friends and I was always doing something, and he didn't really want to socialize with anybody, and I just knew what he was missing out on.
As Kyle's mom, I think the thing that was hardest for me was feeling that I had done something wrong. That I wasn't loving him enough. That somehow I caused this whole thing to happen.
We first found out about Sunrise when, it was serendipity. Jennifer and I had gone to my parents' house for a holiday party, and she met a gal who was dating my cousin at the time, who'd had a daughter who had unusual behavior.
She had just returned from the Option Institute, and she was going to start a program called Sunrise for her daughter, who was diagnosed with many different kinds of special needs.
And that was the first time we ever understood about even the very idea of autism.
I had gotten the book Sunrise, the Miracle Continues, and I read parts of the book. I read through some of the book, and then I read through some of the training manual. And I said to Jeff, I really think he's autistic. I think he fits into this book.
I had the opportunity to travel with Kyle to Germany with my father. We were going back to the familial home of the Westphal family. And Kyle behaved classically the entire time. And it was the most time I'd spent with him one-on-one ever. And I watched him during the day, and then at night I'd be reading this book. And I could see the principles, I could see the issues raised in the book right there in front of me every day.
We called the Institute the next day, and we got ourselves scheduled for a startup program.
The Sunrise program is a home-based, child-centered, parent-directed approach for autism and developmental delays. They come to a program called the Sunrise Startup, which is a one-week, 5-day seminar. And in the seminar, they're taught all the things you need to learn to go home and really begin the programs.
Reading the book, talking to them on the phone, nothing even approaches a week of intensive experience with your wife and 40 other parents of children of varying degrees of the autistic spectrum, talking about your experiences and what it would be like to conduct a program in your own home and take charge of your own program for your son.
While they're not experts on the Sunrise program, they are experts on their child. And so our role is to give them the tools so they can take their expertise and apply it.
I felt really connected. It was really exciting to be with these people. It was also amazingly emotional. The first hour is just this incredible unleashing of feelings and letting go of lots of anger and frustration and feeling like you had finally come together to the right place.
You don't feel like you're at fault. You don't feel alone. You know there's hope. And you learn that it ultimately doesn't matter how your son or daughter turns out, because their behavior is not important as what's going on inside for them and for your family. And you learn to be okay with all of that.
We came back ready to run our program, ready to get our people set up, ready to build our room, and really excited that we had a process that we could use to connect with our son.
Generally with autism, children are very much overstimulated by the environment around them. There are so many voices, colors, sounds. Just walking outside, which to us feels like a very normal and easy experience, there's sort of this onslaught of color and sound. The leaves are moving, dogs are barking, cars are driving by, children are screaming, but you may not understand all that if you're autistic. All you know is there's so many things to take in, and you can't necessarily process it all.
Oh, we've got our colors on. Everything looks red out in space. The playroom is a Sunrise-developed space, a place that is very quiet, so there's no distractions. You don't put up posters or any colorful things on the walls.
The playroom is set up as a safe environment and as an environment that has every single thing the child hopefully would want. So that way there's no need to say no and there's no need to stop anything. So instead of having this no experience all the time, there's this environment of yes for the child.
He loved his playroom. It was his spot. He was in that playroom from the minute he woke up until the minute he went to bed for 7 straight months.
In my playroom in my old house, there was toys, games, books, art stuff. Even though I slept with Jake in another room, this was just my room, my special room.
Well, joining with Kyle early on was like joining with most kids who are autistic and you're in the Sunrise program. It is a very new experience for most adults to sit and do the same thing, sinking the Titanic over and over again with whatever thing you could get, you know?
Because the whole point of when we first started being in the room was just to join and join and join and really get connected with him in his world.
But one of the things you learn is, go ahead and just have fun with that. You're going to be here for an hour anyway. Why not have fun doing that?